What's up? What's up? What's up? What's going on, good people? Random Arts here, coming with a random live. Say keep crashing on X. Huh. I just started the feed on X, so it could just be that because I know I started it for a little bit, but nothing was happening. Um, right, let me see, or let me pull it up on my phone. Could be good now. It could be good now. Franco, good morning. Giants, what's up? How is everybody's day today? How's your Saturday? So I end up having the house to myself, so decided to just go ahead and just take advantage of this while it's quiet, just to take, just do this live. Markets is looking pretty good. We're seeing a little bit of a retracement from those gains that we saw yesterday. Bitcoin, I want to say it's at like 115. So yeah, Bitcoin's taking a bigger retracement. Ethereum, it did touch that all time highs yesterday, but with anytime we're seeing a breakout, you typically want to see that candle close above that weekly candle close above the breakout level. We did not. I mean, we still have until Monday for that to happen. So between now and Monday, we could see another push on Ethereum. Sometimes what it is too, people they just get spooked, especially people who were down on their Ethereum bag for the longest. As soon as they see like, oh my God, I'm finally in profit, that tend to happen. You tend to see people, um, take the small profits or take that break even because they feel like, oh, I've been down for so long, and that just becomes just the psychology just of trading. And this is the same thing that we're seeing too with Roaring Kitty as well too, um, because we're approaching some of these key areas. Because I've been looking at the sales that we had like before here during this first test. Some of the sales, like the entry point for some of these people, were in the nines, the 0.209s. I've seen some in the 1 cent mark, and they just been down since ever since over here, since November ish, between November and in December. They just been down on their roar bag. But thing is, I always tell people like if you're buying high in an asset and you're not getting your average down, then what's going to happen is, you're just gonna be mad the whole way, hoping and praying to see a bounce. And hope and prayer is, as much as I believe in prayer, but that is not a strategy when it comes to investing. So if you ever catch yourself buying high on any asset, um, especially if it's not a rug or anything like that, you definitely need to get your average down, because if you're buying dead top, that means if you're not buying, when it's down here in these levels to get your average, because your break even point if you don't buy the dip is going to be here. But as soon as you start buying the dips, it's just going to break your break even point is just going to start getting lower and lower and lower. And that's what a lot of people tend to fail to do. And also when it comes to Roaring Kitty, um, everything is contingent upon what the community do, like the rating, the shilling, minting of NFTs. Like I see people say like, they can't wait for Roar to get to $1 billion market cap, but some of them they don't even own an NFT. Like just doing just the small stuff to get us, they're faster. Like to me, I think either way we are gonna get there. Um, we're gonna we're gonna get to that $1 billion mark. A lot of people along the way they're gonna leave out. Cause I still remember even from the very beginning, like when people were super excited about Roaring Kitty, like for the very first time when I first started talking about the channel, they were like random arts, man. Like, how is everybody gonna cash out at $1 billion? And I was like, I was like, everybody's not gonna be around for that $1 billion mark when it comes for Roaring Kitty. Because some people they're gonna leave, they're gonna get tired of waiting, they're just gonna like that. Typically, how it happens in assets because you're gonna have drawdowns. Like, and I talk about my drawdowns on Roar all the time. Like going from the very first time, like whenever I was up like I want to say I was up like $8,000 like the very first. Let me change it to a candlestick so that way you guys can see it. Like the very first go around, guys, I was up instantly like $8,000, right? I'm talking about like over here. During this run up, I was like $8,000. But during this drawdown right here, because my entry was somewhere around like over here, so my drawdown from being up $8,000, then all of a sudden I'm only up a few $100 based upon my entry. Um, People can't stomach volatility like that. So you know, Roaring Kitty is a slow cook. It's not gonna instantly just get to $1 billion. It could. I mean, with one good listing, one good catalyst happen, it could. But typically speaking, what you're gonna see is this consolidation, pump consolidation, and it just getting some of the people in and out of Roar. Because I know few people that got in these areas like the very first go around. Few of them are holding their bag. A lot of them already sold, and those were some of the people who were like, "Yo, random arts, you know, um, how everybody gonna cash out at $1 billion?" And I was like, everybody's not gonna cash out $1 billion because everybody's not gonna be around at $1 billion market cap. Um, but yeah, went up from 8,000 drawdown, and I think at the time because I didn't even it didn't hit my entry level, but I think at one point I was up maybe like four or no maybe $500. So from $8,000 being up $8,000, seeing this huge drawdown to like $500, people couldn't withstand that. Some people who bought in here, they sold in here, and next thing you know, they just started seeing Roaring Kitty have another move up. You know, because I still remember the second like big drawdown because after seeing I end up regaining all of that gains back. Um, my bag pumped to I want to say like $30,000. Yeah, it pumped all the way to $30,000, right? And I think I want to say it's maybe right here, or maybe right here. I don't know. One of these. It pumped all the way to like $30,000, like the very first go round. And I seen the huge drawdown as well. It went from $30,000, gotten all the way down to I want to say like maybe like 2,000 or something like that. And guess what ended up happening? Some people who were in it who saw this big parabolic move, and I'm just telling you guys all of this because this is going to be we're about to enter the next step where we're going to see the big parabolic move on Roar. Um, so that way you guys could already prepare your mind of what's to come next. Who wants to buy my couch? HTX time, baby. Mortgage the house. Oh, you slept in. Okay. Roar. So yeah, so what I was saying is the next go around we are gonna see a huge pump. So a lot of people's bags they're gonna be looking like, oh my god, this is up incredibly, Um and if your plan, if your trade thesis is to hold Roar to $1 billion, or more, you have to understand the drawdown. Like for me, it was easier for me because this wasn't my first time seeing a huge amount of gains. So for some people who haven't seen huge gains in their wallets before, like seeing those, it's just like, oh my god, then seeing it automatically disappear. like you're not confident enough in the play or confident enough in yourself to see that the gains are gonna come back. But like I mentioned, like I was up like $30,000 or something like that. The next thing you know, during the drawdown, it got down to maybe around like $2,000 or something like that. Um, but I held because I know, like, at the end of the day, I seen how the community was forming, and I seen how strong it was being built. And the first token that it reminded me of was Shiba Inu, because I remember I was here during the early days when Shiba Inu was first being formed and how everything. And I was like, yo, there's actually something to this, because again, because if you guys looked at my very first video when I talked about Roaring Kitty, the thesis in itself was to piggyback off of Kitty, the other token. That was my thesis about. Let me pull up Kitty so that way you guys could see it, because at the time Kitty was the number one Roaring Kitty token on any chain. I mean, now we have flipped them, and of course their devs rug left and all that. So now we're the leading Roaring Kitty on the blockchain. So this is them right here, Kitty. So the my original thesis when I made my very first Roaring Kitty video was I made the comparison between Pepe and the OG Pepe. So as long as Pepe continue to keep going up, 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 the OG Pepe, the first one, is gonna automatically go up as well too. That's what that's what we see in the market. It's like a sympathy play. So with that thesis was this, because at the time this didn't happen, like this big huge run up that Kitty had. This did not happen as of yet. It started going up, and I was like, okay, we're gonna ride. With my thesis, I'm like, this is gonna be a day trade. We're gonna go ahead and ride the coattail of Roaring Kitty or Kitty token, because other people are gonna be like, man, I missed out on this. Let me try to find another one. And that's exactly what ended up happening at first. But once I seen how the community started forming and how people wanted to do for it, I was like, okay, we actually may have something on our hands here. Um, and that's when the wheel started spinning. I was like, maybe we could turn this, really turn this into community, because all the talks was happening on X, like in the comment section. People were like, hey, we need a Telegram. Hey, we need a website. Um, and I was like, hey, somebody create, a Telegram. And nobody stepped up to it. I was like, you know what? Let me just create one. I had recently created one, so I wasn't too familiar with Telegram. But I had created one in the past, so I created the Roaring Kitty Telegram. Then that's when people started coming and started coming. I was like, holy crap. I wasn't really expecting that, because again, you just got to realize at the time there was the only thing that was active for Roar was a X account, no website, no Dex tool, no Dex screener, no Telegram. None of that was active, but the token started going up. And the trade thesis, like I mentioned, was just to follow this token, because had this continued to keep going up, it would have automatically drug the price of Roar to go up even higher as well, because it was going to be a sympathy play. So, so yeah. But then after we seen this huge dump on it, and they were like, "Oh, the devs started to rug," then our community started getting stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger, to the point where it's like, "Yo, we may actually have something here." And from there, you know, history has been made. So then had this big pump. I think at the time during this all time high, I think it was like I was up like 70, yeah, like 70 or 80,000, if I'm not mistaken, or 60 or 70. I don't know. It was up there. But then we saw the drawdown again, and I think it gotten all the way down to like maybe 13,000. And this is how drawdowns is gonna work. This is how drawdowns is gonna work. But it got down to like $13,000 that I was up. Weathered this storm. The only mistake that I think I did make with Roy and Kitty is when I first realized that we have something special there, is I didn't buy. I didn't buy again. Like I really didn't start rebuying Roar or buying Roar until a couple of months ago, guys. Because I felt like, okay, I have a huge bag size in Roar. So I need to focus my capital into other assets. That was my thought process. Like I'm already up big, so why do I need to keep adding to my bag? And to me, that was like one of the biggest mistakes that I made because again, it was almost a year, almost a year out till I started buying Roar after my initial, and I started buying in a different wallet. And that to me, that was the biggest mistake because had I really, when I first saw it, had I really just started pouring capital in, I would have had, I probably would have been the number one well. I'm not even the number one well in Roar. Like I'm barely, guys, barely making it to the top 20 list because we have some other people who are just like, sheesh, fanatics, man. And I thought I was gonna catch up, but man, these recent months, they just been pouring in, and I'm trying to do as much as I can just to try to get my level up, with my combined bag. But yo, some of these people, man, you guys got some deep, deep, deep pockets. Save some roar for me. Um, but yeah, so had the drawdown like 13,000, then went up right here. Had this huge parabolic. I think at the peak, I was up like a quarter million on Roar. And then of course we seen this huge drop, huge drop. During this huge drop, I think at the low, I was up maybe 30,000 or so. So from a quarter million to 30,000. So for a lot of people seeing that type of money on the board, they get so tempted. They be like, "Oh my god, I gotta lock it in. I gotta lock it in." Now, in some assets, absolutely. In some assets, you have to lock it in. But the understanding that I've really gotten throughout the years, especially with crypto, because again, I made so many mistakes, guys. I'm telling you, like so many mistakes to the point it's like, yo, looking at hindsight, like, yo, man, you could have been a millionaire 10 times over with some of the plays that I gotten in early on, or even had an opportunity to get early on. Getting Bitcoin in the $800, guys. I bought my first Bitcoin when it was in the $800. You know, and I sold not even, I didn't even sell it for. I had 2.5 Bitcoin. I didn't even sell it for above. I think I sold like right around maybe close to 5,000, and I even had an opportunity to re up and get my 2.5 Bitcoin back. But instead, I bought real estate with it, which, my opinion, yeah, like, because you hear like you get money, you pour it into real estate. While that is good, like that capital had I been, because I had an opportunity and I was pondering about it. I was like, yo, all right, should I get real estate, or I had the opportunity to be able to get Bitcoin when it had did that huge dip back to like 3,000. This was uh this was like before 2020 2021 cycle. Instead, I was like, man, this is super risky, blah blah blah. Real estate, you could touch it, you could feel it. Like I wasn't sold on on crypto. I mean, I made money in crypto, but I wasn't sold. So because I wasn't sold, it was just like, I don't know. Um, which to this day, kind of regret it. But it is what it is. You live, you learn. Ethereum. I first saw Ethereum sub 10, but I didn't really buy my first Ethereum until it got to like the 12. I sold along the way in the 20s. I sold, no, I rebought, I bought more in the 20s. I sold like in the 40s, the 60s, the 80s. For me, like the pattern has always been just selling too early. because I'm so worried about my P&L versus looking at the trade or really understanding the trade. Um, and that was one of my biggest things. Now the biggest gains like that I made, like going in my I'm talking about at once in my first bull cycle, which was I want to say like 2017, was was on Tron. I made $15,000. I still remember that day. I was so shocked. Like I made $15,000. I was like, oh my god. I sold it right when it got, because I had got a Tron sub a penny, and it got all the way to like 10 cents. That's why I sold. I sold at 10 cents, and just to see it constant, it topped out. And this is how early of my sell was. It ended up topping out around like 30 cents, and I was just calculating. I was like, yo, that would have been like $45,000. But I sold 15, went into the bear market, and practically blew majority of that. Probably a good 70 or 80% of my 15 from that one trade, because I was thinking like, okay, I got 15. If I put $1,000 into these couple of plays, then I'll be able to at least get maybe $100,000. That's how my brain started turning. But I got into these ICO plays, and ICOs, those were like the biggest rugs, kind of like how you seeing pump fund. ICOs was for us back in the day, and and that's how you know I end up blowing a lot of that profits. So to get it back on, and all of this, it comes down to experience. The more and more that you're in front of these screens, the more and more you're in front of the candles, you're seeing different tokens, you understand different patterns. And one of the patterns, guys, that I've learned, one of the patterns that I see absolutely work is CTOs. And once I really got the grasp of, going back over my winning trades and seeing what I lost on, um, probably like 90, probably like 95, 96, 97% of the tokens that I lost on, it was dealing with some type of team. It was dealing with some type of team receiving free token. Like, that's what they're receiving. They're receiving free tokens. And because they were receiving free tokens, I didn't realize, because one thing about whenever you're investing into the stock market that is preached, especially like in the penny stock level, is you do not trust the CEO, you do not trust the management of the company. Because if you look at Enron, right? Enron CEO, before it went under, like the day before it went under, the CEO was like, yo, Enron is fine. We have never been stronger. Blah, blah, blah. Our plans for the future is really, really good, etc., etc. What? And just for the next day for Enron to just absolutely collapse. Biggest scam, biggest scam of the century. Biggest scam of the century. So that was and that's how I approach like penny stocks. But when it came to crypto, I was like, no, it's not the stock market, it's different. But one thing about it, like human behaviors, that typically does not change. That typically does not change. So with human behaviors, right? Teams, devs, like all the same components that I've seen in the stock market. And it just like finally clicked. I was like, you know what, Random Arts? Like you are like you're over here just getting duped by all these different teams, all the different things. Now, mind you, I'm not saying all teams are scams, all teams, like, there are exceptions, but more times out of 10, like the teams that is receiving free tokens and stuff like that, they're not going to do right with the funds. They're not going to do right with the funds. Um, is going to be to promote whatever they have going on, their lifestyle. And I get it. Like, if you're making a utility, you did a good job, you're doing a great job. Yeah, I believe a dev, a team should get compensated. But if you are not producing, then what are you getting compensated for? And that's why with the whole Sheeb thing, you know, the devs, they essentially had to work for their bag. And this is why Shiba Inu was so successful. Because the devs, they didn't receive any free sheep. They had to buy their sheep on the open market. On the open market, and they had to work for their bag. In order for sheep to become successful, like how it did, they had to produce. You know, with Bone, that's a different situation. They actually did receive free tokens. Um, and maybe one could argue, like, oh, well, maybe the reason Bone is not doing well is due to the fact it's not following the whole CTO aspect. Now, you could have made that argument probably like in the beginning. And part of that too was the reason why it took me a while to buy Bone. Um when I did, or even started talking about on my channel. But the real turning point as far as like Bone becoming, a Sheeb like product or a Sheeb like token is whenever the contract got renounced and all the tokens were fully minted out, because now all the tokens are in circulation, they're all in supply. um Again, some people will argue like, well, the dump because of the team and all this and that. I don't know their wallet, so that's why I can't for sure say, hey, this is what happened. But I know for sure they did receive free tokens. That I do know. Um, but as far as where they're the cause for the price going down, all this and that, then it's hard for me to, because if my whole thing is when it comes to any of that is, if I don't have concrete proof evidence, I'm not going to, bash somebody or call them out, because again, I don't have any concrete proof evidence. You know, but like I mentioned, tokens that I've had my success in, CTO like, and because of that, the power of the token has always been in the hands of the community. So now when you look at Roar, just taking everything that I talked about, including the whole, you know, uh, the drawdowns, it looks like we may be entering into another phase of where Roar is about to go parabolic. Why do I say that? Because if you look at the chart, you could see area of interest, right? So you have this green line right here, and Roar has been stuck in this little channel for like the longest. Really, you could draw it right here and say the channel starts right here and right here. But now we're seeing a potential breaking out from that channel. And the reason why this area matters is due to the fact that you have the initial run up. It was met with some type of resistance over here, or sell off over here, because there was really no resistance. So some sell off right here. So you have your first point. Then after this overreaction on the chart, as far as with the sell off, you get this bounce. Now remember, this was the prior top, right? This was a prior top. So this is how I typically look at charts, looking at prior tops and seeing what areas can this get to, or if it's gonna stop around somewhere around that area. And after this overreaction, we get the very first bounce. And a key thing that I noticed during this first bounce is, yes, it did pass, this top right here, but it was met by rejection. So this right here, I would even just do a circle right here. This is to me called a false breakout, because it was indicating that we might be trying to go back up and retesting this. So that didn't happen. False breakout. So now I'm having a little bit more conviction in that area, because you have this false breakout. Then once it bounces again, trying to reclaim these higher levels, guess where it is met with resistance, with sell-off, right around that same area as well. So it's like, okay, you got 1, 2, now you have 3 areas, right? 3 areas, or the 3 points on the chart of the same thing happening. So something right here is telling me that we have resistance over here. And it could have been some of the people who bought over here, or some people who had bought early down over here. So we finally then break above it, and we're thinking like, okay, we're about to go even higher. Alfredo, what's going on? I'm thinking we're about to go even higher, but guess what ended up happening? We come back and we retest the prior resistance, because if you're looking at it from this point of view, on this, around this time, this is all you have to work with. So you're like, oh, okay, this is coming right back to prior resistance. So prior resistance is now support. And that's exactly what we've seen. It acted as a support, so it is solidifying this area right here is an area of interest. So we tried to go higher, and I remember Whale ended up clipping us, just stopped the momentum right quick, right fast, and it just selling, we get selling, and more people end up getting out. Or else we would have kept going, because like this, like we started getting a lot of hype, new people started coming in, we thought we were gonna do this, but then we just got clipped by like one whale. Boom. It stopped the momentum. Again, it's just getting more and more people out. So that's what I like to see. But after that clip, we started seeing the sell, and as soon as it got back to the same area of interest, we seen this bounce, right? The bounce was met by more selling pressure, and next thing since January, we have not went back to this area up until May. And the first time we try to go, guess where we're met by again? The same area of resistance. So prior supports becomes resistance. So this is why I like the line chart, because it'll paint a picture better for you. So you try to go again, met with sell-off, boom, got another attempt. Looks like we're going to go higher, but again, this is another false breakout, met with more selling. Then we tried to go again in August, the 12th. It was met with more selling. And now we're seeing, maybe this is met with more selling. Maybe this is another false breakout. Or maybe we might actually do see that breakout. Because the next area, because hopefully this is what I'm thinking, like when it comes to psychology, is like how people are thinking, and also looking at when people are selling, because I do go back and look at their look at the wallets. The people that are selling, some of them they bought around here. They bought right here. They just sat on Roar. They didn't contribute to the community. No raise, no shield. They ain't do none of that. And again, that just become just a disgruntled holder. So as soon as they get close to their break even, guess what they're gonna do? They're gonna sell. And I think this is what we started seeing. It got close to the break even. They start selling. Boom, few people got out. Again, got close to their break even. Boom, more people got out. Again, boom, more people got out. And now we're starting to see like sellers, or the people were disgruntled by buying the top, they should be out. I mean, I get there might still be some people lurking over right here or right here, but that means it's gonna leave room for roar to continue to keep going higher and higher and potentially just hitting some of those spots right there. So things right now is looking pretty good, especially how Ethereum is moving. So if Ethereum starts having its breakout as well, then of course this is gonna push up even higher to start testing all-time highs and breaking all-time highs. We also have the HTX um, drops are shorter. Is it the stream drop? Is that what you're talking about? Drops are shorter. Oh, drops are shorter as far as for this. Yes, it is. Um, because now we're getting a lot of buyers really stepping up. And again, because we're seeing this in the chart, the drop, it just pretty much causing the floor to just become higher and higher. Now, if we add HTX listing to it, which would be huge buys coming in onto Roar's chart, then it's going to eat up a lot of the people who bought in high. And as they get eaten up as well too, it's just going to automatically just catapult Roar into price discovery. Like I think during this next breakout, minimum at the minimum, we should see a $30 million roar, right? $30 million, so really 3 cents. But the thing is that I tend to see now when it comes to tokens that break into the 1 cent, 2 cents, 3 cents, like it tends to go a lot higher because it'll skip from 2 cents, 4 cents, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 really fast, real quick. So again, I say minimum during this first go run at a $30 million market cap, and the range as far as like how high it could go, it could potentially even get to like the $1 billion market cap. And the reason why I say this, because people have a hard time of seeing tokens as far as like price projection because it's so far away. Like me telling you a $6.58 million market cap token going to $1 billion market cap, most people cannot see that. A lot of people don't have the imagination or the foresight to being able to see that. But as the token continue to inch closer to 200, 300, in their mind, they're automatically thinking, oh, $1 billion market cap is coming, and it's just gonna just cause the token price to just gradually just keep going up exponentially. Same thing like there's a tactic that they use like in the sales industry. Um when it comes to like whenever if you're selling something, they don't want you to say, hey, the price is like $89, because someone think $89, you think like, oh, that's $100. You know what I mean? So that's essentially what we will see. So I'm excited. So minimum again $30 million market cap, which would be 3 cents. Um, because again, people are looking at the $1 billion market cap for Roar as potentially their exit because they do have 1 million Roar in the bag. So we could see some resistance, some heavy resistance there, depending on who's still around. Um, Ideally, I don't want to see us just pump straight to $1 billion market cap. I want to see us maybe pump into the $100 million market cap, consolidate there, consolidate, maybe a few months, consolidate, consolidate, consolidate. That way, we allow some people to get out, allow more people to get out, get some listings, doing all this and that. Then the next push up, we go past $1 billion market cap. Less people are in, less resistance, and it's just gonna make Roar continue to climb to the ones, two, three, $4 range. And depending of how we do, especially with these NFTs, guys, once we get our liquidity switch situated, we could start implementing. If that's what the community want, we could start implementing burns, man. Like right now, it's not feasible for us to start burning our tokens due to the fact that we need as much liquidity as possible. But this is why I say like this right here, like us getting this NFT minted out and getting the proper liquidity that we need to make us, surpass the dollar, $2 and stuff like that. We could have burns implemented. And imagine us getting the supply down instead of being at a billion. Start getting that supply down, gradually. 900 million, 800 million, 700 million, 600 million. Like things like that is extremely doable, and sky's the limit for Roar at the end of the day. Like we make Roar for what it is. And that's why like I'm just still just amazed because we have 14 over four yeah 1,400 holders, and out of the 1,400 holders, only 63 people, guys, only 63 people minted an NFT. Like that is, you know, that is sad. It is sad because all the NFTs does is only help your bag because one is going to cause the price to go higher immediately because we're buying Roar on the open market. The second part is going to be able to provide liquidity for you to being able to sell once it gets to these high numbers. Like it's a win-win for you. But I don't know why that concept in itself, like it's hard for people to understand. But hey, till then, either we're gonna have a pretty fast process or we're gonna have a slow cook process. So I'm all for the slow cook. So that's why I always just bring the NFTs up. But yeah, I thought I'd at least just go live just for a little bit, guys, with you guys. But I'm gonna call it here. Hopefully you guys are enjoying your Saturday. So Random Art signing off. Man, it seems like as soon as I started getting more and more people start coming in, I'm gonna try to do another live. I don't know when, guys. When I get the time, I'll definitely be able to try to do more lives. At least, even if it's not long, just to still come in, talk to you guys, chat it up. We could even do lives where it's not even just centered around Roar. We could look at other tokens, just chill and vibe. But before y'all guys do leave, go ahead and smash the like button. We got 20 people in here, so go ahead. I need to see like 20 likes. 20 likes. But man, talk about a beautiful chart, guys. Like this, like you don't see chart because again, this is what people typically don't understand too. Like whenever you're looking at a token and the chart does not resemble anything, it just looks ugly, like a clean chart. Typically, there's something going on in the background because the one thing about charts, it will paint a picture for you. It will paint whether the token itself is being manipulated, whether it's heavily bundled. Like and again, I don't know what token these is. I'm just gonna El Pepe. I don't even know what this is. I'm just clicking on it because it just popped up here, and we can just look at the chart, and you can just see just like the difference in charts, man. Like especially if they're new, or yeah, it's new. Like this game, this crypto game, it is heavily rigged against retail. The people that are winning in crypto, I'm talking about like winning massively. I'm not talking about just like, oh, you turn $50 into $55. To me, that's not winning. Um, but yeah, like this right here, notice like all the different wicks. Like it just it's so wicky. Anytime it pumps, boom, met by like there's something in the background that's happening. Like you could just tell just like how the wicks are. The chart in itself is not bad as far as like the structure of it, but the only red flag that is screaming at me is just like how every day there's like a wick somewhere. Like what's happening? Is it fake volume? Because sometimes fake volumes can create these wicks. But this crypto game, guys, it is heavily stacked against you. If you're not into an inner circle or know somebody that knows somebody that's gonna give you the the insights of these plays, then more likely, you could make money on a here, one there, but long term, you're gonna lose because you got influencers pushing tokens, and if they're pushing it, guys, they're already in the token, and a lot of time they already received the token for free. So you're just becoming exit liquidity for them. And don't let the token be like a low market cap play. Because I couldn't tell you how many times I get offers from different projects because they like, the way I talk about in my videos. I have offers people like, yo, Random Arts, hey, can you talk about our token? We'll give you 1% of the supply. Like these are offers that I get in my DMs, you know, like we'll give you 1% of the supply. And I'm like, nah, or even ignore it. Don't even answer the question because me getting 1% of the supply, it, it ain't gonna serve my followers. Cause what I'm gonna do, like with the 1%, like yeah, this is the next great thing, and that's one thing about me too. Like when it comes to tokens, I can't fake my enthusiasm. If I'm excited about a token, I can't fake it. It's not gonna come. Like my content is not gonna come as genuine. Like I only talk about things that I actually believe in. You know, but these are the offers that I get. Give you 1%. And mind you, my channel is not really that big, so you can imagine the people who have hundreds of thousands of subscribers, hundreds of thousands of X followers. Like this is the game that people don't really know is being played in the background. The developer will reach out to an influencer to give them that big of a supply, 1% of the supply. Like, what do you think? Because again, the influencer, the YouTuber, guess what? Their job is to make content. A lot of these content creators, they're marketers, guys. They are marketing. So what are they going to market? They're going to market a token. They don't necessarily believe in it. Now, there is pockets and windows where you can make money into, by buying like an influencer, but those are just going to be day trades. Like nothing for you to be holding weeks and months at a time. It's like nail and bell. And if you don't take that approach, you're gonna be the same like the one person who bought. Let me find that token. And it's crazy too. Like I watched them buy Roar. Well, no, I watched them sell Roar. Like anytime we see like big sales, I like to look at, okay, what are they gonna do? Are they gonna cash out and like take the money to their bank account, or are they going to roll it over to another token. And typically speaking, they roll it over to another token. Let me find this token here. This one. I forgot the name of the token, is it? Maybe it's this one. Oh yeah, yep, this is the one right here. I watched somebody sell their roar, and they took I think they sold maybe like $24,000 or something like that in roar, just to buy, just for them to roll over those capital into this token right here. And they, what I mean, legit bought near the top. They bought here, and I checked their wallet just the other day. They're down. They haven't sold it. They didn't sell anything. They're just holding the bag, and they're just going down and down and down and down. I want to say this is team led as well too. I did see influencers talk about it. Like, that should be the red flag right there. If an influencer is talking about a brand new token, to me that's automatically a red flag for me not to hold long term. Because since then I haven't seen them talk about it since. But had its good initial run up. And that's why for me, like a point of emphasis for me, like during this cycle, was just to limit the mistakes. It's, I made enough mistakes to, I know, like, okay, like random arts. New launch tokens should be avoided. The odds of a token surviving 6 months, extremely low. Let alone surviving a year. Like, even if you just, I have nothing against this token. But I want to say they're only been around like for 5 months. Not to say that they can't, the team, whoever's running it, can't magically just make it go crazy. You know, not saying that. But what I am saying is statistics are not on your side. So Roar, over a year, community is just constantly growing, and everything is done organically. Organic sometimes does take a while to cook, but the slow cooks are better because it is letting people get out. So that's that way when we start seeing nice pumps, there's not going to be any breaks in between. But yeah, guys, that is all that I have for you today. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed this live. Leave a like, leave a comment. Random Arts got signing off.